guys, and welcome to part 2 of doing our pumpkin. The open composition where it goes off the edges. And because it does go off the edges, please make sure today that you have paper that when you're coloring it can go off onto that instead of your table or your desk. Now, you should have your picture from last week, your pumpkin picture. And if you used crayons last week with the brown, then that's what you should use. So whatever you used last week, unless you went out and bought something new and you want to try, but I can tell you that if you used colored pencils, I don't know, you might be okay, but you're not going to be able to go back over the brown with a colored pencil if you used crayon last week because of the wax. So we're going to be using shades of orange and some brown this week to do this. And I went through my crayons and I found different shades of orange. And so what I did was I colored a little bit of it. And how I know the name is if you look on your crayon, there are color words there. So you can write that so you know which one is your darkest. Now, on the one I first did with my crayon, I used a scarlet red. And I kind of like it, but I wish I had done less of it. And then I went to a red orange, which is fine. You could just start with something like that. And then I went to orange and a yellow orange. So before I did any of these parts of the pumpkin, I started with my brown. And with my brown, I went ahead and I colored this in. So you can start with yours. My favorite medium to use when doing this project is oil pastel. Oil pastel will give you such a pretty shading, blending techniques for this. But I know a lot of us can't go out and buy all that kind of stuff, so crayons and colored pencils will work just fine. And I'm just using a crayon because I have a feeling that's what most of you are using. Okay, so we kind of got that in there. And you can go and make it darker in places if you'd like. I normally do when I'm done. I'll color it, and then when I'm done with everything, I'll go back over certain parts. Now, I'm going to start with my scarlet, but you don't have to even use that. But you want a dark and even a darky red orange through here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to color this section. And the section is kind of concaved, so it kind of curves. And so when I color each section, I'm going to do one at a time, and I want these edges to come down feather. Okay, and notice I'm pressing fairly hard. Like I said, I'm really bad about breaking crayons because I like to really saturate the paper with the wax. So you would go around and you're going to do that for each section. And if it's easier for you, like to turn your paper around, do that. Nobody says you have to keep your paper straight. I don't think I ever keep my paper straight. Okay, so I would go around and do that for each of my sections. So you're probably going to want to pause this video and do this part all the way around in each of the sections going around. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and color the whole thing again for you. You don't need to watch me color that much. I realize that. So the next color, I picked up my red orange. And some of you may have to start with that, and that's okay. So now I'm going to color again, but this time, looks like I got some dark on that. I'm making sure I go over the edges and blend in my scarlet color I already had. So that way it's starting to layer up. And you're going to go around and do that in each section. So you just treat it one section at a time. When I'm done with that one, I picked up my orange. And again, I'm going to go and blend in with the other color I had at the bottom of this here. So far this is my third color. You may be only, I have one more after this. So I'll have 4 colors. You may only have 3 and there's no problem with that. Depends how many color crayons you have. And then you're going to go all the way around and color each section. Now the last one is a yellow-orange. And it's kind of a golden color, and I make sure and go over. Now when you're going off the edge here, you really need to try to hold your paper and support that edge in those ends. Because if you don't, your paper's gonna come up, and a lot of times it'll rip when you're doing edges. See how mine just did like that? And sometimes it'll rip. If that happens, all you have to do is take a piece of tape on the back and tape it on there, and it'll be flat, and a lot of times you can't even tell that it ripped. Okay, and you're gonna go around and do all of that. And I did, here's mine, and I know you had a picture in your assignment. One thing I did do when I was done, I looked and I would go back over things I felt I needed. You know, if I saw too much white, I'd go back over it. But one thing I did is I went back over the brown again, because my brown kind of started getting lost by the time I added all the layers of different oranges. So I went back and re-outlined this. And if you see, let's say, I might say, you know what? I want to make it darker right here, because I think it wouldn't be getting as much light. And you can always do that too. And if you wanted to, you could even grab a yellow, and you could even put some yellow on there if you wanted to. It's all up to you and what color pumpkin you were wanting to do. Now, if you did oil pastel, and this one isn't finished, and it's been in storage, as you can probably tell, it's starting to get a little melty. But I used the reds and red oranges and yellows and the brown for the oil pastels. So with those, though, you will have to, I use my oil pastels, I press really hard when I'm coloring with them. If you had gel crayons, these would be beautiful with a gel crayon too. So you can have a great time creating your open composition, different shades of orange pumpkin. Okay, guys, bye. See you next time.